Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today we are going to be going over the new Bard class. This can be obtained by completing out the Vale Kingdom as well as the new little bonus questline that is now at the end of it, and then you'll end up getting the Bard. Bard is actually pretty decent, has very well-rounded stats, but has a really good trait. So as far as perks, pretty nice. It has the better defensive one and the better offensive one. It has HP and magic. That's basically the best two you can really get. That or attack and magic. So really nice in that. So we get a nice variety if we want to play it more of a tank, more as a damage source, and it's also a wild folk. And since it is Vale, King Salinas is from the kingdom, so it can start up your hero class with 50% mana, and since it's from the same kingdom, you'd get additional bonuses towards your hero. So of course, if you do set it as a wild folk, it gains 2 HP as well as 2 HP to all the other wild folk on your team. Immune to silence, which isn't going to come into play too much, but will help against Silent One, and whenever you are up against the occasional silence. But the main thing that makes this class really good, and possibly one of the best, if not the best hero classes in the game right now, is all yellow allies gain 1 to all stats at the start of every single turn. So basically the exact same thing as the mythic that was just added, except instead of brown, it does it for yellow. And unlike the previous troops, since you can only ever have one hero, you can only ever have one of this effect, but still really nice nonetheless. This is probably going to be mainly used for yellow Guild War days, though there are a few niche PvP teams that can kind of mess around with it as well. But definitely really high priority to get this now. And it's something that mid-game players would be able to get pretty easily too, since the hero class itself is easy to get. The only thing that you really need to do is make sure you get all the trait stones, which could take a little while, but getting the hero class itself is pretty straightforward to actually obtain. It takes yellow-blue trait stones, has blue for the extra mana as well as yellow for the weapons, so if you're going to use any weapons on it, you're generally going to want to use yellow. There's really no point in not using yellow, but mainly because not only does he gain bonus off of his additional magic, but of course, obviously, he ends up gaining one stat to all allies that are yellow, and that includes himself as well. So since if you're using a yellow weapon, you'd be getting that bonus. Be crazy not to. And as I mentioned, he counts as a Vale, so you can use it within Vale. Most noteworthy, you'd be using it with King Salinas, so that you can set it as a wild folk, so that both of them start with half of their mana. And other than that, there is basically even down the line stats, nothing too special there, but it does have a kind of interesting weapon. Nothing too out of the ordinary, but it could have its niche purposes. It is a really big HP gain for the hero itself, and then cleanses and enchants all other allies, so everyone except itself. This can be decent in some situations, mainly because it's only a 10 mana cost, and this is basically generating 6 mana for your team every single turn. Of course, if you're up against Wisp or anything else that has a disenchant, this would basically be useless, but if you happen to be up against many battles that don't have any disenchant on the opposing team, it could be worth using, especially if you're up against a free spam and you're using some kind of loop that might want to keep looping. So it will have its purpose here and there. For the most part, I'm pretty sure I won't really be using it, but let's go into some teams, a PvP team, some budget teams, and next Yellow Guild War Day. When is next Yellow Guild War Day? We will definitely make sure to do a late game Guild War team for that. Well, at least it hasn't happened yet. Unfortunately, it's all the way on Sunday. But yeah, next Sunday this Sunday we'll need to go and make sure we run something with the new hero class. But anyways, let's go and see what we're up against. Of course, Krakens, but let's start with the strongest one first then. Gorgoltha, Dawnbringer, Guards, Avatar, and Mercy. We'll have some other more budget ones in this. But out of everything that I could possibly think of, this is the strongest thing I could think of as far as what I've tested so far. I know there's definitely plenty. Basically, every yellow troop in the game can be used with this thing. Pretty bad starting board. Ideally, of course, what we want to do is get a gigantic Mercy off our very first turn, which will lead into a Gorgoltha cast. That did not happen this time around. So we're just going to have to keep poking until we kind of get going. Trying to bait it out if we can. Just need to take out any little bit of mana wherever we can poke it. Really need that last little bit for Gorgoltha right here. None of it appears to be available, though, not even for drops. I guess I can move it near each other. So that's all we're going to have to do here. Oh, whoa, very lucky extra turn off the top right there. I'll take it. So we have our extra turn just sitting there, too. I believe I'm going to take that now. I'm leaving the green there just so we could take it after the fact to go get that down. So, Dawnbringer, do we need you to throw down yet? Oh, don't forget the yellow. So he'll get the skull distracted. Us getting entangled won't really do anything, not to mention we have a cleanse on the Gorgolfa itself. We'll throw the Dawnbringer down. Of course, as you can see, we're gaining 1 to all stats on every single yellow ally. That is a lot of stats, to say the least, especially if you were using a 4x team. Of course, this is just a 3x. We don't really need it on the 4th troop since it's just a mercy, which the sole purpose of her is mainly just to get us going. And once we get going, we can kind of just win from there. But another really nice hit. We didn't get a single guard's avatar off. He does hit pretty high. He also does gain quite a bit of armor here, given that he's getting it from not only from every single time we cast, but of course from the actual bard itself. So we'll throw one here. Is that enough damage? Almost. Wow, very close. But don't even need to take that yellow. That is obviously enough damage off the Dawnbringer right there to clean up the rest. And not sure why it's freezing right there. What are you doing, lagging computer? Don't even have anything open other than this and the streaming software. But anyways, down it goes. So, into the next battle. Here is more of a budget team to throw down. It's a little bit more towards, I say, mid-tier. I tried to make it as cheap as I possibly could think of. Unfortunately, it does have some slightly higher stuff, like King Salinas and a Runic Blade. Runic Blade, you need 37 green-yellow. There are 2 other alternatives, but I assume most people don't have them. There's Sun and Moon, which currently isn't really obtainable by any means. And there's also the Dawnbringer, which realistically very few people have. And if you did have it, you wouldn't even be running anything remotely near this team, most likely. And as far as King Salinas, he is a little bit more expensive too, since he's a legend and you kind of need him fully traded. But basically what this is a triple Wild Folk team with a Herdmaster up front for that mana generation. And of course it's a 4x yellow, so this could be something budget to use on a yellow Guild War day. Just coming in here real quick to go switch our perk to the correct one. Of course, as just to recap for any of you that don't know, you can only have 1 perk active at a given moment in time. So you do have to change it around. It's perfectly free to change. You have to pay 50 gems whenever you do the hero switch, like your class switch, unless you're doing it once per day for free. But the perks themselves on a certain hero class, you can change them as many times as you want for free, and there's no cost or anything associated with that, so you don't need to worry about that. So anyways, let's go with this. We have him changed to his Wild Folk now, and we'll be using that for the next 2 battles. So let's go into the budget team. Of course, like many mana generating teams, the whole thing that you need to start off with is get the mana generator up and then kind of work from there. In this case, that would be get Herdmaster up as quickly as possible and then see what we can do from there. So taking this yellow into basically whatever. Actually, just, yeah, I'll take this one because I need the wider spread on the board. So we go for that. We'll move that up. And we have Runic Blade. I don't really need to throw it down right now. So we're not going to. We'll just do that to get full mana essentially on everything, as well as almost the Herdmaster backup. That Hellcat will probably land, so to countermeasure that sum, we have about a 50% chance there that that would get silenced, and it does indeed get silenced, since we end up hitting half his team there. Let's see. We do have a full team of Wild Folk. This does end up boosting off of that. So we have 3 of them out of 4. That's an 18 bonus. That's, what is that then? 48, and that would be 24. Is that enough for a Runic Blade to kill? Plus the burn. Oh wait, no, he doesn't burn, so I can't calculate that in. I think I have to actually target him instead. Pretty sure. Or else Runic Blade won't be enough damage. Oh, he did end up cleansing there, unfortunately, which gives him an Infernus. Nothing I can do about that. We're just going to have to let him go. But we could just keep stacking up damage after damage now on the Runic Blade. Since he's already gaining more stats per turn, not to mention he's going to have the extra 10 to all stat buff off the Runic. Now we can kind of just keep going through the entire team, one-shotting every single one of them with the Runic, or even picking off kills with the King Salinas, which is what we're going to do right here. It is going to kill our front line, but yeah, it's just going to have to go down. We do get a skull here, and we've been gaining so many stats between the Runic Blade as well as the extra turn buff that we could just kill him out with that little poke right there. And we'll go take this other poke into another one, and that will wrap it for this battle then. And anything else we need to take that looks fancy? Sure, we'll go take that weird extra turn for no reason, but followed by that extra turn. And wait, that's actually not enough damage. What am I doing? I was like expecting to kill him right here. That's actually a little bit short. We have to go take a skull and then go for Salinas. Neither of the 2 would have been enough damage to finish him. Well, let's go wipe him out with the final little blow. So, there we go. Went pretty smooth. We did end up losing a troop, but that will happen sometimes, particularly if you're not using a summoner on a Guild War battle. Generally, with teams like this, you're banking on winning quick enough that you don't end up dying on anyone. Ooh, a Scion. How annoying. I might actually want to switch because this team would probably be pretty bad against a Scion. So let's just go repick real quick. Let me guess. Another... Yep, the exact same team. Of course. Let's try this again. Can we find not Scion? Okay, something a little bit harder than that. That's a little bit too easy. Here we go. That's okay. That's a lot harder, but we'll still go with it. So we do have a backline tank this time. We're running with the new weapon, of course. The Orpheus's loot. I forgot if I mentioned it, but with all hero weapons, it does require having 250 wins with the hero class in order to unlock it. So you need to get that, and then you end up getting this weapon. We're running it with the Wild Folk this time, so we should be able to get it with a... basically, what the whole premise is, we get this thing up, we cast it, we then get a Dryad, that goes in the Famine, we cast the Famine, and we can kind of just keep that going quite a bit. It's not like any kind of loop team, but it's a longevity team. You can also run this in Guild Wars if you actually had everything for it. It's a little bit more of a budget team too. The only really thing that's, oh, I shouldn't say budget. Famine is definitely not budget, but the rest of it's not too bad. Okay, so first things first, we of course are using Wild Folk, so this is King Selinus, the whole point of him, other than the Impervious to protect us from the Kraken and the Freeze, is also to give us the half mana on Wild Folk, which includes the hero class since we set it to Wild Folk. So we just go for that single yellow, as we should, and then we just throw this down, and we gain a really big HP buff. One really nice thing is we can use the Dryad to basically make sure our hero never dies, so unlike the previous battle we just did, where our hero ended up dying, if we were having to do Guild Wars with this particular team, which I'm probably going to be doing something else with it, more towards the Gorgolfa Dawnbringer combo, but if we were to use, let's say, something like this, we would be able to keep our hero alive as well as target the shield plus heal on things that are getting low, and simultaneously that will end up buffing up our Famine, which will then get a gigantic drain down that we'll be able to utilize. So right here, I kind of want to do something about that. Wish there was a way for me to take greens in a way that would prevent him from taking anything. I believe there might actually be one. No, there isn't one. Never mind. There's absolutely no way that I could take green to stop him. So we're just going to take that green, take a little poke. He still gets his. Luckily, he does not get it to full, though, which is good for us, that is for sure. We are frozen a bit. I don't have any way on this team to cleanse our first slot, though literally every other slot can be cleansed on the particular team that we're running right now. I do want to try getting into Famine mana. I don't know if it would be better to actually go into... Well, actually, we can't go into her. And it would be better to go into her and then just throw her ability down. But we don't have the ability to. So we're just going to go for the Famine. Got a really lucky Cascade there to give us full mana. So we're just going to throw the... come on, Famine. Why are you not casting? There we go. Throw that in there. Get the first Kraken out the way. One less thing that we'll have to deal with. So right here, we can either go power up, I guess, our front line. There isn't really anything else that we need to power up as this current moment in time. He hasn't really done any damage to us, surprisingly. So we'll just throw that down. Of course, it doesn't really do much as far as a heal. That ends up missing pretty horribly, too. But we'll go take a poke right here. Get it. Oh, that would have been extra turn, too. And we actually got one off the side. Very nice. That was pretty lucky. I'll take it. I guess we throw another poke so that we can go and clean up with Selinus. Would be nice if we could take some more yellows. Obviously, there's plenty of yellow on the board. It's just there kind of isn't an easy way for us to actually take some of that, like any kind of cascades or anything. So no point in really going for it yet. Same as this yellow. I give him 4 times red, which in itself isn't bad, but he ends up getting a Kraken and an additional freeze off when I do that. And of course we do have cleanse, but that's not going to help us at this current moment in time. What I could do though is take the green yellow. That actually wouldn't be too bad, so we will go for that. It gives us a full Famine, so if we need it we can throw it. What I want to check here is that enough damage? We have 2 Wild Folk. The hero does count, so that's 12, 48, and that's only 24, but he does get burned. You know why? I'm going to go for that. So we'll go throw the split right there. Oh, never mind. That was a mistake. I should have just killed him. Should have just gone all the way. Well, actually, that's not too big a mistake because we can just throw that down. That's obviously way more than enough damage. We'll get the little poke there. I just need him to stay burned somehow for like 3 turns. But we'll go take our yellow. That will end up getting our Bard and the new weapon up. Of course, we end up cleansing right before we even get to cleanse with anything, but we'll just get another HP buff up. As you can see, our HP just goes to ridiculously high heights at this point. To the point that it's basically never really going to die. It's going to be very, very hard for that thing to die. Unless it dies to like instant kill or skull spam. It doesn't really have anything for skull resistance, but still, it's going to have so much HP that actual ability damage isn't really going to be hitting through it anytime soon. So right here, he does end up getting the doubling of the green. There's almost no green on the board right now, surprisingly. Our Bard is blocking us a little bit, but luckily the enchants will be, even if we're blocking them completely with our Bard or anything else that happens to be in front. Of course, similar to a Christinex, once you enchant a troop, it's only a matter of turns before you can just completely kill everything with it. So when that does happen, we just have to delay a few turns. And any troop that has some kind of mitigation effect per turn or something like that, that chips at the enemy is pretty good, since it will end up being able to synergize with the fact that you're kind of waiting a little bit for the enchant. And there we go, way overkill at the end there, but we'll go take it out. So, new Bard class, is it worth using? Yes, definitely for Yellow Guild Wars days. Is it worth using for PvP? Somewhat. You kind of need Dawnbringer, I feel like, to really... You need basically Dawnbringer, Sun and Moon, to be able to even think about using this viably in PvP. His weapon is really interesting, though I don't personally feel like it's going to be better than any other option, like throwing a Gurgulthor or something like that. So it's probably going to be pretty underused. But the hero class itself, definitely see that being a Yellow Guild War Day. Pretty much almost everyone's going to be probably running that now for Yellow Guild War Day. I might still stick with my normal, but of course this week I definitely want to at least try like at least 2 different teams, maybe even 3 different teams, see how it actually ends up performing in the actual Guild Wars, and kind of just go from there. But yeah, 1 to all stats on all of a certain color. Anything that ever gets that's going to be pretty viable. I'm really surprised they ended up putting on a hero class, so definitely consider getting that up. Honestly, I would not bother spending the time to get 250 wins on this hero class, unless you just happen to do it over time. Of course, I did it just to show the weapon, but yeah, it's nothing too spectacular. If you have a Gurgulthor, you're pretty much good to go. You already essentially have what the weapon is. But anyways, guys, that is the new hero class, and there is another one coming this Friday, I believe. And it should be from Dragon's Claw, a Dragon's Claw Dragon. This is actually a hero class I've been wanting pretty much since the Dragon Claw Kingdom came out. Where is Dragon Claw? There it is. But yeah, that'll be really interesting how that pans out, because of course, as many of you know, Christinex Dragon Soul combo is very, very strong. And the amount of additional synergies that are going to occur from a class simply being a dragon class, regardless of how viable it even is on traits, is going to be pretty huge. So definitely looking forward to that. But anyways, hope you guys enjoy the new hero class. We'll see how the other one performs as well. If you still have any other questions about it or anything else in general, feel free to leave in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.